Cece and I recently spent an amazing 2 weeks in the country of Turkey. Along with visiting the highlights of Cappadocia, Pamukkale in Ephesus, and the megacity of Istanbul, we also got to drive 2,000 miles through the west and southern parts of the country. We were amazed at the variety of landscapes, ruins, and beautiful towns that we saw along the way. After visiting Pamukkale, we drove to the ancient city of Laodicea. The ruins had towering columns and a very well-preserved old church with intricate mosaic floors. The church reminded us somewhat of the terrace house in Ephesus, but on a slightly smaller scale. Continuing our road trip, we made a quick stop at the Amentis rock tombs. These ancient tombs were carved into rocky hills and looked as if they could fit at least 3 bodies in them at one time. At first we thought we could only view them from the road, but the real fun began when we got to see them up close and personal and get some climbing in around them. The Amentis rock tombs have exceeded our expectations for 60 Turkish lira or $2. This one's a great deal, looking out over the bay and the harbor down below. We found a place to stay for the night in Ulu Deniz and spent a bank-breaking $15 for a suite. We're grateful housing is so affordable here in the off-season. $15 a night for this place. That's why I love traveling. Good luck trying to find anything in the US. How about a Happy Meal for 15 bucks? Here we are staying 3 miles away from the ocean in Turkey. A very friendly Turkish man persuaded us to come into his restaurant with the promise of a 5-foot-long pide or Turkish flatbread. He didn't let us down and dinner was really tasty.
So today's breakfast, giant loaf of Turkish bread and a half pound of hummus that we have to finish.
Locals recommended that we try the steep drive up Babadağ Mountain for sunrise. Good morning from southwestern Turkey. Today we're going straight up from the coast all the way up above 6,000 feet to Babadağ Peak. We didn't think it would be too bad making this hike up for the last mile or so, but the iced out path told us a different story. Walking in a little gully here to the side of the road because the road is completely filled with ice in different stretches. In the end, it was just too dangerous to go any farther, so we turned around just before the summit. There's only so much ice we could avoid on the road before it got too dangerous to continue. The views from the ridge were very impressive. We drove over to the Talos ruins and hiked up to the top of the ruined castle. It's amazing how many of these ruins are tucked away amongst the farmland. You only had access to the small fortress, so ordinarily we wouldn't have gone, but it's part of the Turkey Museum Pass and on our way to other things, so why not? Saklakent Gorge was our next quick stop. The river is high and raging, so it's too dangerous to go far in the gorge in the wintertime. It might be a cool one in the summer when you can wade out into the gorge, similar to the Narrows in Utah's Zion National Park. Lunch ended up being one of our favorites.
A foot and a half of goodness.
We had a delicious chicken durum. More ruins followed after lunch with the ancient city of Xanthos. There was a nicely preserved theater that was the main sight to see there. It was also a warm day for wintertime that had me wishing I'd worn shorts and a t-shirt for the first time on this trip. The ancient city of Patara was next, just down the road from the Mediterranean. It had some beautiful columns and a couple of theaters. Oh, so many moves. It's amazing how quiet these are in the winter, the off-season. There's like 4 other people here, and this is one of the more famous ruins down on the Mediterranean coast. We continued driving through southern Turkey on the beautiful coast of the Mediterranean. After settling into our place, we went to the beach 2 minutes away to watch a beautiful sunset. The next morning we drove 30 minutes to get to St. Nicholas Church, which was a beautifully preserved church with wall paintings and mosaics. It was a refreshing change from all the mosques and interesting to walk through. Early morning, just us here at St. Nicholas's Church. A 5-minute drive away was the Myra ancient city. All the marble-faced carvings set these ruins apart. It also had rock tombs and an amphitheater. These are ruins that we enjoyed more than some of the larger ones we visited. Cece also loves posing next to statues, so I could tell she enjoyed this stop a lot. Phasaelis ancient city was a bit drive away, but was very picturesque. Here we are right over by the Mediterranean Sea in Phasaelis ancient city. We enjoyed walking around the different ruins and sitting down to do some more research by the sea. Ruins that are naturally pretty areas always make for a nice combination of history and being in nature. Here we are right outside of Antalya at the Purge Ancient City. There were more people here than we'd seen at ruins in a while because of its proximity to Antalya. This is our first time seeing an oblong stadium that looked like it was used for races. Here we are at the really nicely preserved Aspendus ruins. The theater was easily the best one we've been to. It reminded me of the Roman Colosseum in Rome, Italy. It was the largest and most well-preserved theater that we've seen, and visiting at nearly closing time was perfect, as we were able to stay until there were just a few people left hanging around. So this is going to be a fun meal here. This is a good looking one. Before we even got our food here, we got all the side dishes, all the different salads and things. So we ordered a chicken skewer and then the Turkish pizza, which is all stretched out. But look at all the delicious goodness and this giant fluffy loaf of bread out here before the main dishes even come out. While some countries have an issue with homelessness with humans, Turkey is resolving their issue with cat homelessness, with all the cat shelters here in the middle of the road. We decided to stay in the little seaside city of Side, which means pomegranate in local language. As it had an ancient city, we wanted to check out the next day. Good morning from the ancient city of Side. These ones are set up on the end of the peninsula here in the today village of Side in the southern part of Turkey. We are the first ones here, which is often the case. And by coming in the low season, we have the entire place to ourselves. We walked around the sea for a bit, checked out the tide pools, and then continued on our way. After a quick visit to the Manavgat waterfalls, we visited the largest of the local mosques, and it was absolutely beautiful. Mosques, like ruins, are all very similar in ways, but also are distinct and different at the same time. We made our way over for the drive to Alanya Castle, which is right on the sea, and you can see it coming up ahead of you straight up the mountain. Here we are at Alanya Castle, looking down 1,000 feet down at the bay below in the town of Alanya. There's a whole lot of castle ruins up there, but again lined with shops. New Year's Eve dinner. Look at all the good food. The next morning, we drove for a couple of hours and made it to Esra Foglu Mosque, which is a 13th century wooden mosque. This mosque is just amazing. Supposedly it's the best preserved and the biggest wooden columned and wooden roofed mosque in the entire Islamic world. Really fun checking this place out here in the early morning. It was amazing to have this unique mosque all to ourselves. Our next stop was the city of Konya, one of the larger cities in Turkey, for the very popular Mevlana Museum. It essentially gives a history and overview of the Mevlevi order that used to be a functioning dervish lodge. It was interesting learning about the dervish lifestyle, like how newbies have to go through 1001 days of suffering to get a title and a cell to stay in. The biggest attraction there, for Muslim people in particular, is the tomb of Rumi, a 13th century poet and Islamic scholar. Lunch was at a little local spot that had good food in the region for an extra long pide. It was really delicious. We also had lentil soup and all the fun side dishes that they bring out. Konya would be our last stop before arriving to the world-famous Cappadocia region. We thoroughly enjoyed seeing so many places between Pamukkale and Cappadocia that many visitors on the fast track in and out of Turkey never get to see.